Greetings, I'm Jonathan Black. Today I'm going to discuss a topic that is very near and dear to me. I've spent years with a painstaking approach to detail researching this topic, and it has been nothing short of a labor of love, because it's truly a fascinating subject. Of course, I'm speaking about the connection between the Jesuit order and Freemasonry. The purpose of this video is not to present a conclusion, but more so to pose questions to the parties involved based on what I know, both Freemason and Jesuit. I'm going to share some quotes, but firstly I would like to share my experiences. Personally, I've never met a Freemason who knew the first thing about Jesuit activities or tendencies. I also have never met a Jesuit who didn't seemingly know everything there was to know about Freemasonry and its degrees and customs. I have often wondered why that is. So in my pursuit of answers, I read many books and listened to many lectures. I have some quotes that might shed some light on the mysterious dynamic between the Jesuit order and Freemasonry. My first quote is from 19th century philosopher, pioneer of the women's empowerment and feminist movements, co-founder alongside Annie Besant and Alice Bailey of the Theosophical Society. I'm talking, of course, about Helena Blavatsky. Here's what Blavatsky had to say, quote, "It is curious to note that most of the bodies which work these, such as the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, the Rite of Avignon, the Order of the Temple, Fessler's Rite, the Grand Council of the Emperors of the East and West Sovereign Prince Masons, etc., are nearly all the offspring of the sons of Ignatius Loyola." Loyola, of course, is the founding general of the Jesuits. She continues, quote, "The Baron Hunt, Chevalier Ramsay, Schutte, Zinzendorf, and numerous others who founded the grades in these rites worked under the instructions of the general of the Jesuits." In his 1999 book, The Grand Design Exposed, American historian John Daly had this to say, quote, "The truth is, the Jesuits of Rome have perfected Freemasonry to be their most magnificent and effective tool, accomplishing their purposes amongst Protestants," end quote. My next quote is from John Robeson, an 18th century British physicist, professor of natural philosophy at the University of Edinburgh, and he was the General Secretary of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. To give you some backstory to this quote, in the 18th century in France, the Rosicrucians infused Masonry with extended degrees beyond the 3 Blue Lodge degrees of old British Freemasonry. This period coincided with Pope Clement XIV's suppression and expulsion of the Jesuit order from the Catholic Church. Here is John Robeson, quote, "These Rosicrucian lodges were soon established and became numerous because their mysteries were addressed both to the curiosity, the sensuality, and the avarice of men. They became a very formidable band, adopting the constitution of the Jesuits, dividing the fraternity into circles, each under the management of its own superior, known to the president, but unknown to the individuals of the lodges," end quote. So is Rosicrucian just a fancy and elegant sounding way of saying Jesuit? I'm not sure. For a definitive answer on that, we're going to need the Jesuits of Rome to open up their records for everyone to see. As a practicing Roman Catholic myself, I am dismayed by this information, and I demand that the Jesuits divulge any information to the Catholic faithful with regards to their involvement in secret societies and answer some questions that many of us have for them. 19th century American presidential biographer and scholar James Parton had this to say, quote, "There are still old ladies, male and female, about the country who will tell you with grim gravity that if you trace up Masonry through all its orders till you come to the grand tip-top head Mason of the world, you will discover that this dreaded person and the general of the Jesuits are one and the same person." My next quote from 19th century Swiss-born historian and author Charles William Heckerthorn. He says, quote, "Analogy between Jesuitism and Freemasonry. There is considerable analogy and similitude between Masonic and Jesuit degrees. The Jesuits tread down the shoe and bear the knee. because Ignatius Loyola thus presented himself at Rome and asked for the confirmation order. End quote. So there you have it. A practice done in Freemasonry where the pant leg is rolled up is also done by Jesuits in their degrees going back to the time of Loyola. So you have to ask yourself, which came first, the Jesuits or Freemasonry? The Jesuits predate Freemasonry by almost 200 years. So you can draw your conclusion from that. The next observations that I have can be easily substantiated, as the Freemasons themselves will have this on their websites. In the York Rite, which is a series of 10 degrees in Masonry, the top degree is named after the Knights Templar, which any Catholic historian knows was a Roman Catholic military order founded through a papal bull from Pope Innocent II in the year 1139. The second highest degree in the York Rite of Freemasonry is named after the Knights of Malta, which is a still functioning Catholic lay religious order. Lastly, the Youth Brigade for the Children of Freemasons is named after Jacques Demolay, who was the 23rd and last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, the Roman Catholic military order that I previously mentioned. My question for Freemasons now is, were Freemasons naming their degrees after Roman Catholic orders, institutions, and individuals out of admiration for Roman Catholicism? Or were these titles introduced into Masonry totally unbeknownst to the Protestant elements of Masonry as to their true history and nature? Here's my unsolicited advice to any and all Freemasons. What you should do is submit the Jesuit order to a series of due diligence processes to deduce whether the Jesuits are involved in Freemasonry, to what extent, and try to learn as much as you can with regards to the nature of the Jesuits themselves. If in fact you find that the Jesuits are and have been involved in Freemasonry, you need to ask yourself this question. If they are willing to do clandestine and secret activities behind the back of the Catholic Church that ordained them, what gives you any confidence that they will show any loyalty to you? So really the question is, are these the kind of men that you want to be sharing your spiritual conduct and practices with? I would be very interested to hear your findings. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this video.